February of 2025 is a phenomenal continuation of January's planetary-ness. You'll get a chance to see all of the planets this month, as well as a conjunction of Mercury and Saturn right nearby Venus. Hi everybody, I'm Rob, your last minute astronomer, bringing astronomy to normies and nerds with little time to spare. We'll start by talking about this month's big events, then highlight the naked eye planets, then move on to the lunar phases and close encounters, all so you can plan ahead better than me. So what's the conjunction between Saturn and Mercury? Well, let me show you. Early in the month, you've got Saturn and Venus right nearby. Mercury's not even in the picture yet. But then what happens is, let's go forward through the days, and what you'll notice is Venus is kind of staying in the same spot, but Saturn is getting lower and lower. And there it is. There is Mercury. And so what's going to happen is throughout the next couple days, they're going to get closer and closer and closer, okay? Until, right there between the 24th and the 25th, I'd go the 24th, and then if you miss it, maybe try the 25th. But the 24th, they are less than 2 degrees apart. That means you can fit only one pinky's width in between Saturn and Mercury. Now, to see this event on the 24th, you are going to need to get out there after 5:50 p.m. because that's sunset. It might be a little different based on where you are. And what you want to do is find this bright, bright Venus up there. That's the easiest guidepost to start at. And then you're going to look down and find Mercury and Saturn. And if we put the angular measures on there, that's 20 degrees. So in other words, look at Venus and put Venus at the top of your fist, and then about 2 fists below, that's where Mercury and Saturn are going to be. Now, Mercury is actually going to be a bit brighter, and that's going to be on the right here. And Saturn is going to be dimmer and is going to be on the left. But you do have to get out there quickly because they both set around 6:50. And so the closer you are to 6:50, the lower they're going to be and the harder it is going to be able to see. So get a nice clear horizon toward the west and get out there at sunset and then hang out there for a little bit. Now, then what happens though is the fun doesn't really end there. We get a little action over here. I like to look at Saturn, Mercury, and Venus from the 25th to the 28th. They're kind of dancing around, right? So Saturn and Mercury are right next to each other. Then Mercury kind of overtakes Saturn or passes Saturn. And then they sort of make this line in the sky right there on the 27th. And then on the 28th, this is going to be tough, but you might be able to catch a very, very, very thin crescent moon down there. And then on the 1st and 2nd of March, you still have this, little lineup of planets over there. So if it were me, I would be getting out at sunset that last week of February and checking out this dance of the planets with the moon crashing the party every now and then. Now, I have one more event, and it's not in February, but you should probably start planning now, and that is Pi Day. Pi Day is 3/14, so I'm going to go to March 14th, pi being 3.1 for March 14th. And what is going on? I don't see anything out here. Well, you got to go to the morning of March 14th, and you got to go very early in the morning, like 1 a.m. In fact, it technically starts at midnight. And at midnight, you're going to see a full moon on March 14th, and then you're going to get a lunar eclipse. So check this out. This is the super quick version. I'll have more info coming out. But you've got the penumbral version, which it doesn't darken the moon quite as much as this. Barely darkens it. That starts at 1 a.m. But the excitement starts right around 1:10, right? 1:10 a.m. That's when this inner portion, this dark umbra, that's when the moon is going to pass into that dark shadow right there. That's when the partial eclipse starts to happen. And then, so that's about 1 a.m., a little after 1 a.m. And then it keeps getting more and more eaten away and eaten away. And then right around, let's go 2:28. So a little bit before 2:30 in the morning, totality. This is the best part, right? The moon is completely dark. And that goes from about 2:30 to about 3:30. So you get about an hour of totality there. Really cool looking stuff. And then partial goes from 3:30 until about 4:45, something like that. And then you've got the penumbral part after that, which, as we know, doesn't really do much, but it does do a little something. Okay, so Pi Day in the morning. It's a Friday morning, so maybe take off work that Friday. I don't know, but go out, take pictures of this, witness it. It's a good one. We can see the whole thing. Only problem is it's in prime sleeping time. So where are those planets we've been hearing so much about? Let's get started. Where is Venus? Venus is off in the west-southwest, just after sunset. It starts about 30 degrees above the horizon. That's 3/5 width. So that's about as high as it's going to get. And it just dominates the sunset sky. It's the first thing you're going to see. And yeah, just find the first non-blinking bright object in that direction, and you've got Venus. Now, it does set between 9:10 at the beginning of the month and 8:30 toward the end of the month. So it's starting to get toward the end of its appearance here. And if you do actually go and take a look at this in your telescope, you should be able to see Venus in sort of a crescent phase, as you can see here. This is mid-month, February 14th. Let's see. On the 1st, it's closer to half. And then on the 28th, that's definitely a crescent, and it's getting close to being out of sight. So if you want to check out Venus, now is the time to check out Venus in your telescope. And even binoculars, you can see this as well. Okay. Now, where is Saturn? Saturn is well below Venus by about 20 degrees, and it is getting lower and lower as the month goes by. In fact, watch this. This is the 14th, 15, 16, 17, and you see how it's just getting lower and lower in the sky, and it's basically the last bit. By mid-month, it's going to be way too difficult to even see, so good luck. You can still see it, but good luck. Okay? Now, where's Jupiter? Jupiter is hanging out kind of on its own over here. And the way that I would find Jupiter is, well, basically just look up and find one of the brightest things up there, right? However, if you want to be sure, I would say find Orion, right? Orion's a pretty easy one to find. Find the 3 belt stars, connect the line between those 3 belt stars, and then keep going, and you'll find this V shape of Taurus, okay? With these 5 stars here. And Jupiter is going to be right in that area, okay? In fact, it kind of travels throughout the month. See, on the 1st, it's kind of right here on the horn, right? And then on the 14th, oh, it's still there. Well, no, that's 4th. There we go. 14th, it's further up the horn. And then by the end of the month, we have, well, it's still up there in the horn. So, not so bad. It's going to be basically in the same spot the whole month. Now, Mars is also hanging out kind of on its own, and it's hanging out in Gemini, okay? So if we center that and we look at that from February 1st, you'll notice what happens is it goes through Gemini, and it actually starts to come back. That's what we call retrograde motion. I might have a thing about that some other time. But for now, what you're looking at sunset is you're going to have to find Mars over toward the east in Gemini. You've got Jupiter up in the southeast-ish, almost straight above you, and you've got Venus and Saturn off in the west. Now, there is one more. I promised you 5. And there's one more, and that is Mercury. However, a couple contingencies on this. You have to look toward the west-southwest. You have to look at like the end of the month. So I'm going to start on the 20th. Let's see if that works. And you got to go like right at sunset. Watch this. Mercury is right there, but this is at sunset. That's going to be hard to see. So you got to go a little bit further. That's 5:45. I'm going to say probably 6:05 p.m. You might be able to start seeing it. But watch what happens. 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. It's getting higher and higher and easier to see. So this last week is the best time to try to find Mercury because it's going to be the highest in the sky. In fact, 12 degrees of an altitude at sunset, you should be able to find this if you have a clear view of the horizon, okay? So good luck. So don't forget, we've got Mercury, Venus, and Saturn off in the west right at sunset. Jupiter up above, and Mars off to the east at that point. Now, in the middle of the night, this is going to go, let's go a little bit later. You see Venus, Mercury, and all that. They set, and let's go like middle of the night. Let's go an hour before midnight, so 11 p.m. And what you got here is Jupiter, still in Taurus, but it's more toward the west. Mars, still in Gemini, but right up above us pretty much. And that's kind of it for the middle of the night planets. So then if we move forward to sunrise, and typically we want to look to the east, but no, there just really isn't much out there in the morning. So this month is definitely going to be an evening planet month, but we can still see Mars sometimes in the morning. And what you would have to do, though, is you'd have to get up like, I'd say 4:30, and then Mars will be off in the west. But you see, as the month goes by, it gets lower and lower. So morning, not so much unless you're getting up super duper early. So don't forget that you want to get out there right after sunset to see these planets during the month of February. So when are we going to see the moon this month? Well, we start off the month with evening crescents, right? So about the first week, you're going to be able to see a crescent moon right after sunset in the west. Now then on the 5th is when we get the first quarter moon. That's when the right half is lit up. You can start seeing it right at sunset, and you'll see it until about midnight. Then we'll have a week of waxing gibbous, which means it's mostly lit up and you can see it most of the night until the full moon on the 12th. That's when it's fully lit up. You can see it for the entire night on the 12th. Now, after that, then you get a bunch of waning gibbous moons that are visible later at night. And then you've got the 20th as the last quarter. The left half is lit up and you can't see it until midnight, but you can see it into the morning. Then you'll have some morning crescents for the week after that, and then a new moon on the 27th. But when is the moon going to be a visitor? Well, let's check it out. We've got, first of all, on the 1st and 2nd of February, you could say that the moon is a visitor next to Saturn. So let's go to sunset, and you can see, oh, there it is. Oh, with Venus too. So on the 1st and 2nd, let's go a little bit later in the night. Okay. You've got Saturn down there. You've got Venus right nearby, and the moon is right next to Venus on the 1st. And then on the 2nd, they form a nice little equidistant line in the sky. So that's a great time to get some pictures. You will probably be able to get the moon and Venus in one shot, but Saturn's going to be too dim, but it's going to be pretty cool. So again, on the 1st, Venus will be within 3 degrees of the moon. Okay? Then we've got something going on the 6th. Let's see. The moon kind of went away. It's moving around the sky. Oh, there it is. It is up by Jupiter on the 6th. And so you're finding it about 5 degrees. So about 3 finger widths will fit between the moon and Jupiter. So if you're having trouble finding Jupiter, use the 6th, find the moon, then find the brightest thing right next to it. You got the Pleiades up there as well, which is fun to look at. And then on the 9th, 3 days later, you notice the moon is traveling the ecliptic. 3 days later, it's right near Mars, and it's just 2 degrees from Mars, and they set around 6 in the morning. So you should be able to see this most of the night. And that's the night sky for this month. If you find this advanced notice of the night sky helpful, please support this work by finding Last Minute Astronomer on Patreon. And don't forget to follow Last Minute Astronomer on Facebook and Instagram. So till next month, I'm the Last Minute Astronomer, wishing you fruitful plans and clear skies. Music was produced by Deep Sky Dude and used with permission.